Today we're going to talk about an update on the progressive movement because I don't know if you guys saw, but not too long ago, the DNC decided to backpedal on their fossil fuel money ban. Um, I mean, of course they did though. Like, were we really expecting them to keep their promise? I wasn't. I wanted to, but I wasn't. So Jordan talks about that last video, but he's on vacation now. But over since then, there has been um, a movement. 35 young people with Sunrise Movement went to the DNC headquarters demanding that Tom Perez and party leadership reject the oil and gas CEO money. So I'm going to take you guys over to that video real quick to show you what they did. So Sunrise Movement, 35 people with Sunrise are at DNC headquarters. This was just yesterday. They went and spoke their mind for a good while, and whenever they left, they sang, which I thought was a nice touch. There's a comment down here that says this isn't about individual employees giving money. This is a lie. Please call her out on that. And that was about whenever they approached the DNC and was like, look, this is what you're doing. This concerns us, and we don't want you to do this. The woman that was there was like, well, well, this is a workers' thing. We don't want to step on the toes of workers and individual donations, and if we don't take money from these PACs, what about the workers? You know, as they actively try to dismantle unions and aren't for unions. Like, wow, of course they did, right? So that's what that's about. They said, the DNC people told the youth that went that they would talk. They would talk it over. There's going to be a meeting in Chicago. And they were really happy they came by. And you know, it was kind of funny because initially at the beginning of the video, they were very clearly bothered by them being there. And then somewhere along the way, it kind of clicked like, hey, I need to be nice because this is like the youth, the future of the party here telling us this. And if we react in a certain way, they're going to slam us on social media. And I think it was around I watched like the whole thing yesterday because I was really excited. It was around like the 10-minute mark. You could see the change of, oh, I'm irritated, to, oh, let's talk, because it clicked. You can see that it clicked for them. Since then, the Sunrise Movement has been doing a lot of different actions this week. I'm going to go back to their page again real quick so you can see. Heat Week, no fossil fuel money. They also went to politicians and talked to them about taking fossil fuel money. And they are just continuing to confront politicians. And they've been doing this across the country. It's really, really wonderful to watch. So this is the Sunrise Movement. And I'm so happy they did this because it's honestly, it's such bullshit that the DNC went back on that. Like, it's awful. I'm going to go to the chat real quick to make sure everything's good. How you doing? Oh, how sweet. Me too. Hello. Thanks for sharing, Emma. Tom Perez and the DNC leading with their values again. Yes, Carl. So glad you could come by. Like I tell the Jehovah's Witnesses at my door Saturday morning at 8 a.m. So nice of you to come by. Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. It was really comical. Like I said earlier, it was so funny to watch this video because they're like stepping over themselves as this group of really talented, like, people who have really got their points together start attacking them, like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And it was such a joy to watch. I took a lot of pleasure in watching it. So speaking about the progressive movement, we've been told by corporate media over and over that the progressive movement isn't doing anything. Was it last night on Stephen Colbert's show? Was it last night? Bernie Sanders went on there, and Stephen was like, you know, the four people that you and like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorsed, only two of them won. The progressive movement isn't taking off because two out of the four people that you endorsed didn't win. So therefore, the progressive movement isn't taking off. And we keep seeing that. I don't know if you saw earlier this week's and last week's video on progressive wins from last week. But there's a lot of gaslighting going on. The media keeps saying and keeps undermining the progressive movement. They're only looking, again, they're only looking at the big races. They're not looking at any of the races in between. Like most of corporate media, well, all of corporate media didn't know about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez until the week of when she won. There's a tweet of Joy Reid saying, you know, oh, we're catching up on this candidate because she's just come out of nowhere. We have no idea. Meanwhile, you know, news outlets like us, Status Quo, and, well, soon to be Status Quo, we're going to be launching soon, and The Intercept had been reporting on her for quite a while. So I'm going to show you some of the progressive wins that we've had across the country. This is from Americans for Progressive Change. They're really great. The Progressive Change Campaign Committee put together this map. And as we can see, within the last 2 weeks, except for that one was a while ago, we've had a lot of wins. See, we had Iron Stash win. We had Ellen Omar win, and a lot of these people, like, there's some white Bernie bros, like, look, we have two, okay, maybe 3, 4 white Bernie bros out of all these women and all these people of color. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. So these red points right here means that it's currently held by a Republican, and these blue points over here means currently held by a Democrat. But, of course, let's face it, what's the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party? At this point, there isn't. Well, there's some slight differences. The Republican Party has some legitimate Nazis and some pedophiles. And all of the center Republicans are starting to come over to the Democratic side. So that's funny. That's great. They have to pretend they don't know what's going on, not that suppression of progressive ideas is their agenda. Well, I mean, I believe to a certain extent the suppression of progressive ideas is on their agenda. Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be constantly trying to derail the conversation every time a progressive goes up to talk. If you watch interviews with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, with Bernie Sanders, they're constantly interrupting them and trying to, like, make them minuscule and be like, well, how is this actually going to work? What are your policies? There's this one article I read in The Atlantic. It was like, democratic socialism is bad for minorities. Meanwhile, there is a legitimate quote by Martin Luther King Jr. Call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. I mean, but Atlantic put out a piece. And the thing is about this piece, it was clearly an opinion piece, but the Atlantic has rebranded their opinion section into an ideas section. So, like, can we think about like the connotative difference between an idea and an opinion for a second? Like, an idea is innovative, right? Like, it's meant to be innovative. An opinion is an opinion. It doesn't necessarily have a connotation of trying to be innovative. It's so annoying. So annoying.